Especially at entry level, I push people into very, I did it. We have no sense of yes, sir. Yes. You think I get to see yourself, sir. Okay, I'll start telling you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm now visible. I'm visible now.
Allow
Excellency Professor Tijani, is this Nigerian time? It was meant for quarter two. Are we going to start? Are we going to be, adopt international best practice in terms of timing?
Yes, sir. I'm not in control, but Professor.
Good afternoon, everyone. We want to especially welcome everyone to this panel titled Japa Concept, Context, and Reality. Is a roundtable that is being put together in honor of a mentor who is also live with us in person. That's Professor Hakeem Hakeem Ibikunle Tijani, who is here with us. Welcome, Prof. He is training all the way from Morgan State University in the US, just to be at this panel. We also have joining us online the former Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Emeritus Professor Bukola Akeshola. Yeah, welcome, Prof, for joining us. We appreciate you for finding time to also join this panel. And we apologize for the short lateness in starting the panel. We have 5 presentations or 4 this afternoon. The first one is to be delivered by Olatunji Alao, who is also here in person. The second one will be given by Bashir Olalekan, Anima Shao, and Yetunde Ayege. Are they online? Please, can you check if any of those presenters are also online? Then we also have Chijoke Odona, who I think I've seen online. Then we have the last one by Habib Salahuddin. I don't know whether Habib Salahuddin is here. Is Habib Salahuddin here? All right, before we start the presentations proper, we just yield to Professor Kebokola to at least speak to us for a few minutes. Prof, sir.
Thank you very much, the coordinator. I personally would like to thank you for arranging this event in honor of a globally renowned scholar and friend, Professor Hakeem Tijani. Professor Hakeem Tijani stands very tall in academia in the world. As we introduced him as a high-level faculty, that's professor in Morgan State University. I've had interactions with him over the last 20 years, and I found him to be one of the outstanding, please give me a minute. Yeah, okay. One of the outstanding scholars, please just give me a minute. Yeah, one of the most outstanding scholars in history And a minute again. Yeah, okay. I really must apologize for that interruption. He rose to the position, one of the highest deputy vice chancellor, and his love for getting his compatriots, scholars from Nigeria, indeed from all over Africa, to to have their capacities built in Morgan State University and other universities in the US is worthy of praise, worthy of applause. But I wish I would just give him an applause. I know you know him, but can you still hear me in the hall? Can you still hear me, sir?
Loud and clear.
If it's loud and clear, I didn't hear your applause loud and clear because that's demeaning from the giant that you have in your midst there. I happen to have served as the chairman of council of the National Open University of Nigeria, the longest serving, by the way. I served 7 years as chairman of council. I will find Professor Tijani to be, if we're going to name the ambassador of open and distance learning in Africa, you would name Professor Hakeem Tijani. Just a couple of months ago, I was in the US and he hosted me, and I saw in him a very humane person. So thank you one and all for arranging this event to celebrate him. I look forward to being part of this to the end, and I will be making some contributions to the discussion towards the close. So thank you, and have a very nice event.
All right, thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you for that opening. Just like Prof said, Professor Hakeem Tijani has impacted a lot of lives, and a few of us felt it was important that we celebrate him using this media. And so we put together this roundtable about how Nigerians can live here, go into the diaspora, but come back home to also still impact lives, and also even take people back so that they can also come back and impact lives. So we're going to be listening to papers. The sessions have been broken into 3. Apart from today, we are meeting again on Friday, where we'll have 2 other sessions where we also have papers from different scholars all over the world. For this morning, we're going to start by taking the paper by Olatunji Alao. Olatunji Alao, that is titled Japada, a discourse on Professor Hakeem Ibikunle Tijani's scholarly exploration. So, Professor Alao, you have the floor. Please give your presentation. You have 12 minutes to present this paper to us, and after that, we'll take discussions.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I also recognize the presence of our celebrant, so to say, Professor Tijani. Very much welcome. Please, I just want to say that what I've written about Professor Tijani is based on my own personal experience, about my personal experience with him in the last 14 years or next. And bringing the aspect of Japa, the phenomenon of Japa, is not something very new to everyone. But when we talk about Japada, that is where somebody will ask, what is this? What is it all about? Nobody wants to go that way. But when it comes coming that way down, then you ask a lot of questions. But we see in Professor Tijani, we say we are engaging, that lays on Professor Tijani, it epitomizes what this concept is all about. Some will say, when I go abroad, let me just die there. Let me not even have anything to do with Nigeria again forever. But 14 years ago, or let me say 15 years ago, Professor Tijani came back with this idea that, oh, I have a homeland. I have some people to motivate, to inspire. So that is how he came to Nigeria, and to the glory of God, many of us, he mentored us from the very beginning. So and to the glory of God today, we are here to celebrate him and to tell every one of us seated here and the entire world what this man is in scholarship and in the academia. So, in essence, Professor Ibikunle Tijani, we can say when we talk about his scholarly contribution, we talk about his educational leadership, intellectual philosophy. We also argue that Tijani's academic journey is a living discourse on Japada, return to cultural wholeness. See, cultural wholeness, historical truths, and epistemic justice. The idea of you go there, you don't have anything to do with your own land, is not what Professor Tijani said. And to the glory of God is here again from Morgan State University. So, without wasting much time, because of time, I will not go into the concept of what Japada is all about, but I will delve more on the person of Professor Tijani. We say Professor Tijani stands as one of Africa's distinguished intellectuals. And from what Professor Hakeem just said in his remarks, you heard what he said about him. Say in his past 10 years experience with him, he has seen him to be very exceptional as an historian, as a mentor, as somebody that this country needs at any given time. So, and as we say that Professor Tijani was born here on the Lagos Island, and he's a Nigerian. So, his career spans several continents, including appointments in Africa, Europe, and the United States. And he has held so many faculty positions at the institution, such as Morgan State University, where he is now. And from our own experience, he was the pioneer dean of my university. And he rose to become the pioneer deputy vice chancellor of the university. And we say that Professor Tijani has also played a critical role in advancing discourse on African American history. That is very, very instructive, because he has drawn parallels between the continental African experiences and those of the diaspora. For instance, let me give a good example. His book, Britain and the Politics of Modernization in Africa, 1945 to 1966, it was a seminar paper he presented. He analyzed the colonial administrative strategies and their impact on Nigerian social political evolution. That paper was presented in 2006. And in all his lectures and keynote addresses, Professor Tijani emphasized the importance of cultural integrity and historical consciousness. That no matter what you are, please, you still have to touch base with the whole front. It's so important. And how many scholars have been there? Thank God for this LSA conference. And we see people coming from the diaspora, and that makes us have a very good synergy, scholarly synergy of giving us a good focus on what our African scholarship is all about. Now, in a nutshell, I will say that Professor Tijani's key themes in his scholarship, I look at it from 8 different themes. I'll just look at African and American identity. He believes so much in that connection between Africa and African American. That is, he's so particular about it. That is the construction and evolution of African and American identities from the post-slavery and post-colonial experience that we have. Then, Tijani also has, his second area is the post-colonial resistance and intellectual agency. In a short while ago, we just heard about this decolonization of the team. He is somebody that believes that we should reflect sustained intellectual resistance to colonialism. Yes, 65 years down the line after colonialism, we still have this diversity of colonialism still very much with us. How do we de-emphasize colonialism in almost everything in our scholarship? As I'm talking to you, am I supposed to be speaking to you in English or Yoruba? But our cultural background also is a major, it's a major obstacle like I said in one of the seminars this morning, that what decolonization is good, but when it comes to this, our foundation, somebody says haunted foundation, 400 ethnic groups bashed together under one political entity. It's a tall order. So, but Professor Tijani, despite this, continue to emphasize the need to decolonize our scholarship and to look inward. Then the Professor Tijani also did so much on global education and global education and curriculum decolonization. Also, the emphasizing this westernization so much. Let's be much inward in whatever we teach, whatever we impart. So he argues that Western education systems have historically marginalized African technologies. So, and once a change of this trajectory in our scholarship. Then also on peace and conflict building, which is one of the ethos of Japada, we say this principle of Japada, which promotes peace and homecoming and restoration, is deeply moving in Professor Tijani's conflict and justice studies. He approaches conflict resolution with a cultural lens, advocating for methods that prioritize reconciliation and restorative justice over retribution. So, also talking about another aspect of the key themes of Professor Tijani's scholarship is the intellectual reparation and historical justice. And this also, we look at the work on Africa and African American identity as a direct embodiment of Japada's call for intellectual homecoming. So, in another edited volume titled Africa and the Diaspora, Historical and Cultural Perspective in 2007, Tijani emphasizes the necessity for recentering African historiography, our style writing. Let me give a good example. Professor Ashanti, you know the man you introduced some time ago. Professor Ashanti will tell you that he does not believe in war. The World War with him was European war. In his book, that book he gave me some time ago, we emphasize that it was European war. So those are the type of things Professor Tijani has been advocating. That, hey, let's look at it now critically and let's construct our African history. It wasn't Ghana and Nigeria that were at war during that period. It wasn't Ethiopia and South Africa that were at war. It was European history that now led into different parts of the continent, other parts of the world. So those are the type of things. Then talk about cultural rootedness and the colonization of knowledge. Also, we're talking about going back to the roots. That's the rootedness of a thing, cultural rootedness of a thing. How do we now start this emphasis, de-emphasizing coloniality, Western-centric way approach of scholarship? When we put children in school now, the first thing we want to hear our children speak is English, right? Do we even speak Yoruba? Do we speak our mother tongue to these children at home? No. In short, where they speak English fast, that's why we say it's a good school. Take them to that school. So those are the type of things that Professor Tijani is saying, that our cultural rootedness must be firmly emphasized. Then, bridging diaspora and homelands. How do we bridge the gap between us and those abroad? Especially those of us who go abroad to work. Do we have a link with home? We want to thank the organizers of this program once again, because there's this connection. LSA has become a connecting road between Africa and those scholars in the diaspora. Today we can see white people coming in to study and to learn more about Africa. Forget about our peculiar challenges. There is nowhere that we don't have these very, very peculiar situations. Yesterday there was no light here, and my mind was saying, how are these people thinking about us? We did not say, oh, we are in the third world. But then, before the end of the day, life was restored. So that is just to tell you that even in a situation where you think things are okay, things may not turn out to be okay. So then, in a nutshell, let's look at 4 areas, key areas of thoughts that we should remember this one for. Number 1 is academic influence and thought leadership. That is so key to what a legacy of Professor Tijani. Then mentorship and capacity building. That's another area which you better continue to be remembered. Institutional transformation, global advocacy, any groups to make impact. Stand tall. Adeleke University, what we call it, National Open University, and other places he has gone. You will always see him, and he's always connected to Nigeria every time. Then we talk about recognition and enduring relevance. So that is another one that is talking about recognition and enduring relevance. It's another area that Professor Tijani has impacted scholarship. In conclusion, I want to say that Professor Tijani's scholarly journey is not merely an academic trajectory. It is a profound embodiment of Japa in both thought and practice. So, in a world grappling with historical and messiah, fractured identities, and persistent post-colonial struggles, Tijani scholarship offers a restorative path forward. It's what do more than document history. That is, it's more than just documenting history. They reclaim narratives and center African voices. Africa must be happy. I was so happy when Professor Alase in the room to be literally proud and happy. So let us not believe that history is only peculiar to certain scholars. We have people who it's like somebody that is just forthcoming. So, but by God's grace, we say that, and its construct of intellectual bridges between the continent and its diaspora is also very, very, very fundamental. So, as it will increasingly turn its gaze towards Africa for solution to global challenges, social, political, and intellectual, Professor Tijani's work reminds us that true progress is only possible when it is rooted in dignity, justice, and peace. Let us not forget this. And its academic legacy is a clarion call to scholars and institutions alike. To pursue truth with courage, to teach with integrity, and to never lose sight of hope. It's wherever we go, those of us who are married to private, let us not forget that even when navigating global platform, we must always remember the home front. So it is this he offers, not just scholarship, but a roadmap to Japa. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Professor Alao. We'll take comments and questions at the end of the presentations. So now we don't waste more time. We go to the next presenter who is online. Tijani Odona, please, you have the floor. We'll have 12 minutes to present your paper.
Okay, thank you very much. No, you didn't actually let me know that I will actually be next. Thank you very much for for this opportunity. Hello, I hope you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I want to appreciate the first presenter for actually setting all rolling, highlighting very, very significant aspect of today's engagement. And I also want to appreciate Professor Tobalashe, who actually who made this this session and this round very possible. And I'm hopeful that our engagement today will be able to lead to further academic scholarship. I spoke with Tijani last week, and then we are talking about putting up this up as a fresh script from here, so that we will honor in respect of Tijani. By January, connecting my presentation to that of Sana, by January this year, February this year, I was with Professor Tijani during the migration conference, and we shared some offline ideas. So in that engagement, we shared some ideas. Those ideas regards to stability challenges in Nigerian university system. We're talking about selection politics. We simulated 3 universities that is actually undergoing problems and some kinds of general challenges that that have plagued the university system in. And so when this idea came up, it was an opportunity to translate our offline engagement, what Prof represent, and the current challenges with regards to the university system. So we came up with the topic Japa syndrome, brain drain, and the stability question in Nigerian university system. Japa syndrome, brain drain, and the stability question in the university system. We know that Japa have actually used to explain the massive exodus of people Africa, for greener pastures. And these because there has been a sort of contestation about its implication on the economy. There have been contestation with regards to its implication on Nigerian stability question with regards to the university management and all that. So this led me to come up with this team and say, let us actually, it's a work in progress. We are trying to, with combination of others, somebody migration, then somebody who have actually Japada from the university system. So we decided to say, let us conduct a national survey to look at the impact of Japada in Nigerian university system. By 12th of December, one article trended in this newspaper. In that article, it was published that 140 medical doctors have left Nigeria, have left Nigeria. And not only that, Babcock University also highlighted that over 100 and some medical staff also left the Babcock University Medical Teaching Hospital. And that actually gives a hint of a general challenge. If only one university alone, 140 something people have actually left and all that, and then what is the implication? That Japan takes the best of Nigerians, Japan takes the best of competent people and all that. But then there have been this idea from the conference we did migration by February that Professor Tijani have been talking about Japan. So now we actually also want to explore, is there possible ways of exploring Japan beyond remittances, which has economic import? Is there any way we can actually explore that to the benefit of a Nigerian university system? So there are 3 basic objectives of this research, which is also work in progress. We want to actually identify the positive and sustaining factors of the Japa syndrome in university staff in Nigeria. And secondly, we also want to investigate the impact of brain drain caused by Japa on the stability of the university system in Nigeria. And then we also want to examine how Japada could be explored to reinforce system viability and sustenance in the university system. And then, as you all know, theoretically, when you talk about Japada, push and pull theory applies, and we also look at the human capital theory. Theoretically, the push and pull theory apply. What pushes people generally out of Nigeria? That's it. What pushes people out of Nigeria? We talk about hopeless and uncertain political environments. We talk about instability, violence, and insecurity. But what pushes them out? Somebody who is actually plagued by these challenges. We want a stable environment. We want a promising and rewarding political environment. We go to more stable, progressive, and guaranteed, where a progress and stability is guaranteed. Then next, lack of jobs. Lack of jobs is a next push. People, if you lack job, you go to a place of higher job prospects. If you're in a place where there's poor wages, you also go to a place of more promising wages. If there's a place of poor incentives, you actually go to a place of better conditions. And if there is a place of insecurity, we move to an environment where job is actually. Another push is natural disaster, pollution, agriculture, which may not apply to politics and all. Though if you're playing by those, you will actually move the environment, better harvest options, food security, and a whole lot of that. Family separation to a lot of people also Japa to reunite with their families that have actually, So now we conducted a survey, that across all these 6 geopolitical zones of the survey is still ongoing on what the major causes of Japan among academic staff are. We look at 4 basic variables. We look at security reasons. We look at economic security for the worst of academics. We look at economic and better condition of service. We look at better service and infrastructural provisions. Surprisingly, as we know, majority of people who responded, which were senior academics and senior administrators in Nigerian universities in 6 geopolitical zones that also across all aspects of university education, whether private, state, and federal. Majority, more than 70% of respondents actually agreed that economic factors and condition of service remain one of the greatest push. One of the greatest push in leaving the country and all that. Then on the factor, we also have established that because now the problem have actually been established and all that. We know that this massive demand leads to brain drain in Nigerian system. We also want to measure what, with the prevailing challenges in the Nigerian university system, what is the impact of this Japa on Nigerian university system. We actually try to do that using winning of welfare due to deficit in engagement with federal government and other critical stakeholders. If you are a university lecturer at the federal level, you will actually know that there have been poor outing with engagement and negotiation of lecturers' welfare in the universities in Nigeria. In fact, the last very lengthy strike is one that yielded nothing. And ever since then, if we want to be sincere with ourselves, the plight of academic staff in Nigerian universities have actually become worse instead of becoming better. So does it mean that our best brain are leaving and then the chaff who have poor engagement in terms of intellectual negotiations with regards to things that actually benefit them around? So we also look at winning of academic quality. That's generally, that when the best brain are leaving, there will be challenges with regards to academic quality. We also look at leadership crisis plaguing the university as evidence power ascendance challenges in different universities in Nigeria. Massive leadership crisis plaguing the federal universities today. That up to I think 2 months ago, the Minister of Education had to actually a ministerial directive on selection of VCs, and provost of colleges of education from University of Abuja, UNIZIC, ULAB to Nigerian Army University. That's massive leadership crisis. Then we also look at declining social capital of university staff in the community. How is university staff in the community? How are we being rated? How are we actually being seen? And all that. And then everyone agreed that winning of academic quality, erosion of academic quality have been a very outcome of blended in Nigeria. But then we can't forget the poor academic quality is also a connecting variable to other engagement. Because if academic quality is poor, then welfare will not be properly negotiated. There will be leadership crisis, and there will also be winning scholarship. So then we actually want to look at, because it's not just about addressing the problem. So we actually want to look at how can we now explore, because Japa is not something stop. It's not something that, that even if you have a policy of that, it's not something that within just a short time frame you can actually revert and so. But we now need to explore on how to harness Japa for the benefits of the academic sector. So that's where the Japada, comes in, which is part of what we call brain gain in migration. Well, there have been a lot of focus on brain drain and all that. Japada has to do with brain gain, how to actually gain from the outward migration of academic staff. So we looked at 8 variables in this aspect. We look at are we developing an integrated program with diaspora academics having their services returned despite being abroad. In Nigerian academics, which are the people whose services we cannot actually lose, finding a way of having their services actually retained. And then also retain and write professional inputs. Those who have Japan is here where we can actually explore the professional input. This can actually become more utilizing open and distance learning options too, and a whole lot of other options. And then encouraging a Japan package that will benefit returnees. There was a time at Babcock University, this is more than 13, 14 years ago, where there was this returning home package that encouraged returnees from different parts of the country to come take up job and at a higher package, and even a return package that was very highly satisfied and all that. So we're also looking at aligning the policy of free inward and outward migration. We have a policy of free inward and outward migration academy in an agreed retainership policy where Japan is seen to have a comparative advantage in the quality of education. Then we also look at it, are we actually finding policies where Japan can entirely be stopped if it has no benefits? Well, are we also looking at transfer benefits upon return, or increased pay package and welfare of teachers, as well as improve professionalism, where we try to mend our academic policies and incentives to meet up with in line with international best practices. We actually, after having explored this and so to focus group discussion, but this is from expert and focus group discussion. One was about the Center for Meditation and then so in the focus group discussion, after the focus group discussion, we tested these variables, and people, a lot of the respondents, majority of them at 41.8% responded in allowing the policy of free inward and outward migration as one of the most supportive policy that we could explore to make to maximize the benefit of Japan. So the posture of the research, which is still at the proposal stage and still ongoing, is that there is a lot of system benefits that we can draw from Japan and then Japan, to stabilize the system. Globalization have actually fueled the whole system, and the educational system is not isolated. Japada, in most of the works of Hakeem, Tijani have been explored in a lot of ways. We have high-tech experts who have moved back into the country. We have high-tech investors who have actually moved back into that can actually be replicated in the educational system so that the competence, capacity, and professionalism will not all, be obliterated in the academic sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please let's applaud him. We appreciate him for showing insights into the benefits of Japan. I'm sure quite a number of us want to Japan. The concept Japan is not. We are beginning to also have other brothers and sisters. Now we have Japan. Now we have Japada. And I'm sure we also have Jalo. By the time we discuss all of this, you understand the difference between the three of them. Let me see, the next presenter is here. Is Olaleko Animasha online? Please, can you check? How about Abib Salahuddin? It's online. It's online. No, it's not online. Okay. Those are the four we're supposed to have today. My paper is supposed to be on a Friday, but since nobody is here, even is not here, I know I can speak to my paper. All right, so I'll speak to the paper. Before I speak to the paper, I also will, my own paper is focused on the mentorship aspect of the life of Professor Tijani. Professor, I looked at the scholarly aspect. I focused majorly on the mentorship aspect of his life. The number of people they have been able to mentor, the number of people they have been able to impact positively, who are also impacting other people. Professor Hakeem Tijani is an historian of repute. He was the very first set of the Lagos State University. I think they were the ones who started last when he went to school. He's a Lagos boy. So he has lived abroad for several years. And in 2011, just like it was said earlier, he decided to come back home, maybe in the US. It was something that was strange. When he came back, people were wondering, what have you come back to do? This country is not even, is not able to pay you. Why are you here? And he said, well, Nigeria remains my own land. I must come back and impact lives. And to the glory of God, he has been able to impact several lives today. As we speak, I'll just start from the closest. From 2020 to date, he has facilitated 153 PhDs going abroad. Okay. Oh, sorry, 123. 123 PhDs have been through to the programs he designed with Nigeria, the TEFCON program, Morgan State University. They've been able to take 123 PhD holders to the United States to be trained. And I've had discussions with him, and I asked him, are you sure these people will not run away? And he said, the idea is for them to come abroad, learn the system, develop themselves, then come back home also, and come and impact other lives. In the process of this Japa, of course, we also have Jalo. We'll come to that in a while. Also, between the same period, 2020 to 2022, he has also facilitated 53 postdoctoral programs for people in Nigeria. So if you have a PhD you want to do abroad, that's the man to catch. If you want to do a PhD and you are looking for opportunities to go, that's the man to catch. That's why we brought him here. So that in case you need to interact with him in person, you can interact, he can show you how all of this can be achieved. Now, Professor Hakeem, just like I said earlier, is currently at Morgan State University, where he heads the Global, I can't remember their name, Partnerships Africa. Global Partnership Africa, where that university has a contract or an agreement with several universities in Nigeria. And it is with that agreement, that partnership, that he is able to speak to the universities to release some of their people so that they can send their staff abroad and have them trained with the intent of coming back home to also come and impact society. From our discussion with him, this paper also is ongoing, because what I've decided to do is to speak with all of these mentees of this and ask them, what are the challenges you faced? How are you able to do it? How did you survive that climb? Because of course, there are several issues, even going abroad, that we have to face. As a student, there is a limit to the work you can do. Japa. Several people want to go abroad. And if you ask, why do we want to go abroad? For most of us, some people say, oh, I'm looking for study abroad opportunities. When we know that in reality, the only reason why they want to go that route is because they are looking for jobs. They are looking for clearer pastures. But they want to go the route of education just to get out of here. And then when they get there, they now begin to look at ways by which they can find their footing. And then that's where we now have what we call Jalo. There are some people who also got into this program we spoke about and decided to abandon the program midway. And they just disappeared. Where they are now, we don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe Heights has even caught up with them. We don't know. But we knew that they left the program and just went abroad. That's where you have Jalo. So Jalo is for anybody who wants to just totally disconnect from home and go into a foreign land and then disappear. Most times, anybody who Jalos, if we can have that term, is somebody who is doing it illegally. Because you are taken there for a specific purpose. Once you deviate from meeting that purpose for which you have gone there, then you have become a Jalo. Or a Jaloa. Okay. Now, Japada is when you go abroad, you enhance yourself, and then you come back home to come and contribute to the economic and social development of our country, Nigeria. So just like I said, that paper I'm trying to put together, I want to see exactly how people who have navigated this route have been able to do it, how they have survived there, and how many of them are willing to Japada and not Jalo. So I'm sure by the time this paper is finished, we will have answers to some of these questions that I've raised, and I hope that every one of us will be able to benefit from it. I know it's a good thing to want to go. Everybody wants to go. Even me, I want to Japa. But if I Japa, I plan to Japa. Because I must come home and come and also impact people. Now, personally, Professor Tijani has impacted me as a person. In 2012, when I was, in fact, a series of interviews have been done into Adeleke University when somebody just called me. There's an opening. I live in Lagos. I said, it's in Ede. I said, where is Ede? He said, it's somewhere in Osun State. I've never heard of it before. As a university who wants staff. I said, okay, we can give it a try. And when I got into that environment, the first thing I saw was I was sent to the classroom. It was strange. Classroom to do what? You have to teach. The students have to assess you first to determine whether you be a fit for the job or whether you're just looking for a stopgap, something to wait you while you now get the post. I said, okay, no problem. I have passions for teaching. So I was sent to the classroom, and at the end of the day, that's history now. I was recruited. I was later informed that even before that interview, a series of interviews had happened, and they had shortlisted a number of people, and they were going to pick. But I just came and I just did my thing. And to the glory of God, that is history to me. So that was where it began to impact my life. I said, oh, really? Because it was strange. I don't know whether how many universities do that here. When you come, you are sent to the classroom to go and teach. How many of us are lecturers here who teach? How many of us are sent to the classroom during the interview? Yeah, because you are from Adeleke University, yes, you might be sent. So we decided to adopt that method in that university. I said, okay, since this has worked, maybe we will now make it a part of our admissions process, of our recruitment process, and we have retained that to date. I also was aware that at the time, he also started an academy, the Ayola Academy for Pedagogy and Learning. It was an academy that was started for every new recruit was taken through that course. You have to learn the system, you have to learn the culture of the place before you are fully integrated into that environment. So that you don't become lost in a foreign land. So, and that also the university has tried to retain to date. He has trained quite a number of people. Some of them are online, some will be presenting on Friday as well. I know the very first set of people who worked with him, his driver today is an administrative officer who, he came into school, he didn't have any qualifications, he has gone through even up to a master's degree. The secretary, the first secretary that the faculty had is online. Maybe she's not now, but she's getting a paper also next week. He's a doctoral student today and is also a lecturer. So these are just a few. No, she's a doctor. She's a doctor. She's a qualified PhD holder and is already a lecturer. So this is just to mention a few. There are several others all over the country, all over Nigeria. Professor Odona himself is a product of mentorship. And so all of us, as people in the academia, we must ensure that we constantly replicate ourselves in other people. Okay? Don't be afraid that somebody will become big and then we are shining. I finished from here. My first degree, second degree was from here. Yesterday, I was speaking with my professor, and he said, I'm proud of you. At your age, you're already at this height, and I'm very proud. And I said, it is because I got good mentoring. In worked with people who feel, oh, this guy is too brilliant. He will one day become here, and then let's try to suppress him. The sky is so wide that we all can fly, and we don't even need to even cross paths. Yeah. All right, now rest my case. Thank you very much. Do we have questions and comments? The other presenters, can we confirm they are not here? Please, before we take, I don't think they have.
Sorry, can we confirm whether they are online?
Okay, questions.
I see a number of people who are also presenting on Friday, yeah?
Allow Dr. Lukasi. He has 100. Great.
Okay, yes.
Okay, is it? Allow us to social. So let's say, be sure it's not AI.
Please also allow Kosoko, Yideko, Ghanaians.
Then we'll see that. So you are sharing that. As a deputy registrar.
Kosoko also, Kosoko, Yideko. The paper I just spoke about now, we are writing that, we are working on it together.
What do you mean that allow you to see?
Okay, please, here is that.
Yes, here is that.
Dr. Yakazi, can you hear us? Do you have anything for us?
Oh, I could be added to it, so I could be added to his signing in from US. Precious that both of us.
I'm here.
All right.
Yes, I'm here too. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here. Yeah, this is Kosoko Yedeko.
Okay, you're welcome, madam. Do you also want
Thank
to
you.
say a few things before we take questions? As a contribution.
Nothing real. Sorry.
Okay, let us take questions, then we can come back to those who are online.
I'm actually in a class, but I'm just listening.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. Dr. Yakazi, yes, you have the floor.
Good afternoon.
Hello?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear now.
Hello. Okay. It's quite unfortunate that I'm not there, but I've been following since morning. I just have a few questions for the second speaker because he spoke on things that bothered me personally as a young lecturer. The first thing that I really wanted to know, since he was looking at the JAPA, the brain syndrome, the brain drain, and the university students. I wanted to know before I ask my question, does this paper cover both the lecturers and the students? Or is it just on the students? But be that as it may, I wanted to know in what ways has the brain drain impacted the quality of teaching and research in Nigerian universities? I really wanted to know. When people talk about JAPA, brain drain, all they look at is the negativities. I wonder if people have really looked at the good side of this JAPA and brain drain. So I want to know what ways has it impacted our teaching methods and the way we research. Secondly, I also want to know if psychological and sociocultural effects have been considered in this JAPA syndrome. So when people talk about JAPA syndrome and in the Nigerian university system, do we also look at the psychological and the sociocultural effects of the lecturers who have chosen to remain in the system? I heard him when he mentioned several lecturers left in Bangkok and other schools. Now, what about the sociocultural, psychological effects of those lecturers that have decided to remain in the system? Can we also do that in our research? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me take the first question.
Hold on. Let's answer the questions first, then you can respond. Yes. So just note your questions, please. Any other hand there? Okay, let's take those in house. Let me give us numbers. 1, 2, 3. So now, 4, 5. Thank you. All right, number 1. Okay, let's take the people online. I'll go behind the yes.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, very good. Indeed, it is my opportunity. I'm so glad that I have opportunity to be able to listen to the ongoing discussion. And a lot has been said of Professor Ibikunle Tijani, and I try to look at I discovered that there is a particular lacuna that was not mentioned. Maybe I've not been able to join then. But again, before I identify that, I want to appreciate the opportunity that was created to ensure that the likes of Professor Hakeem Ibikunle Tijani have been appreciated, because this is major gap we have in Nigerian setting. Until the person dies, before you start say that, oh, he's a man of timber and caliber and the like. So it is always good to celebrate an individual that is making a lot of difference in our system. And that is something that I think is good and we continue to appreciate. However, I have just two comments. One of the speakers who have been able to mention about another synonym for Japa mentioned Jalo, and in his presentation, he has not been able to give us the synonym to Japada. So it won't be out of place if he has been able to also identify such word. However, the lacuna I also mentioned that I identified that in the course of appreciating the contribution or assistance of Professor Tijani is that his Christian life was not mentioned. A little thing I've learned about him for the short time I had with him is a man of many qualities, including being active to serve God. Indeed, I'm sure the RCCG Life Center at Middle River in Baltimore, Maryland, will be able to say so much about that. I joined that group short time ago, and I've been able to see how not just about the issue of Japa and Japada in Nigerian syndrome is off, but again, even in Maryland here, his contribution in terms of his contribution to serve his God is also of immense. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And it is good we also had that. I appreciate. My name is Adebayo Agunbiade, and I also left Olabisi Onabanjo University as a professor of statistics before JAPA, and I'm sure with my assistant or closeness to Professor Tijani, I'll be able to JAPA that to also contribute to our system. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Agunbiade. Thank you very much for also filling that gap. We were time bound, so I have to just cut it short. Luckily for me, I was also privileged to have been at that church. I was in Maryland in December, and Professor Tijani invited me to church to come and of course everybody was excited, and I saw quite a number of Nigerians in that church. So you still see that they have even built a Nigerian community, even outside of here. You see, and they brought delicacies. I had Ikokore and Ijebu in Maryland. Okay, there was a Filipo. They had a Christmas get together and they brought the local food from everywhere. So we thank you very much for also adding that to us. Okay, let's take the comments here. Number one, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Also happy to be here present. The panel has been set to congratulate and appreciate the works of this panel. Someone who has been very much, who has impacted people who don't have the level of the person, whether the listen and national service. Very quite number of things about him. He has also said fellowship, given awards, best students, and things like that. He's and also appreciate those that leads up to celebration. My question is, one of the speakers spoke about having a common language in terms of decolonizing African European center historicity. Now, looking at the language barrier in Africa, and this has been witnessed by many scholars. Several panel sessions like this, talking about having common legal contact. Is that basically And one of the issues that have been raised, I was scholar, I think I was there last year, after the later issue, that when you say you want to write in particular language, just to promote the Africanity, how are you reaching out to audience? Directing your food in Yoruba, for instance, how do you get people from other tribes to read it? That's my question. So this week, how do we achieve that feat? Having a global partner. That's a very good thing actually. The second question is, Oga, you mentioned Japan. Yes, I remember this particular conference last year. Somebody presented on a similar topic. And our own is a figure, our own conception of Japada is someone who comes back willingly. I'm sorry, unwilling.
Or willing,
Yes,
okay.
maybe due to political
Rotation.
like that. So from your own conception, you conceptualize it as coming back to serve the nation, to bring back what has been gained. So I don't know how you just approach between these two. Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you. Question 2, yes. Can you speak up a bit for the purpose of those who are online?
Okay, my name is Prof. Can you hear me?
Can we hear her?
So I'm actually meeting him and hearing about him for the first time. But I'm happy to have such people. I think he's also in the league of people like Professor Ademito as well. So I hope so I can bother you after this, because like I said, everybody is looking for you. I'm looking for you now. So I just said I should advertise myself to him, so that when I come and meet him, won't say I did not see you. So I'm here, sir.
As long as your DP is not a dog or a cow or a lion or lioness, and then when you send that test to mention your pet, or those Google me or you go to site, and I'll speak shortly before we start.
Thank you, sir.
I think I'm one response. Okay. So let's see.
I'm three. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Sojiuni, and I'm happy to be in this section. I think this is my first time of coming to Milan to be part of this kind of panel. I'm happy to hear the impact Professor Tijani is making across the world. So my question is like, I want to talk about the kind of framework we are trying to do on Japa and Jalo. So the questions that I'm trying to look at here is like the concept of brain drain. Like I look at it, I read a publications by Peter Obi sometime 2 years ago. It talks about the danger in brain drain, especially in academics, and it was like providing solutions to how the issue of brain drain can be solved. And it talks about some of the opportunities of how we can bring people back, people that have traveled abroad, with the concept of, like you said, Japa. So I'm looking at it like what is our positions as academics on how the idea of Japa and Jalo. Do we see those people that are in academics as Jalo? Or I think we should make a kind of clarifications about the concept of Jalo, Japa, because there are some people that are travel out of the country based on the merits. And I believe that they left the country because of probably they were given opportunity to, or probably other country appreciate what they are doing. Because I look at it since the era of slavery, a lot of the Western worlds have been looking for bring people from Africa to build in the Western world and to contribute to their education. So I'm looking at this. How do we frame the idea of, in between brain drain and Japa? So I'm just looking at it like people that are living academics based on their brilliancy and what they can contribute to education. And I'm looking at it like, since the government is actually not doing anything to bring to solve the issue of brain drain, And I think, so what is our position as academics on that? So that's the kind of questions that I want to pose to you.
Thank you very much for that.
Negotiation through return migration. It's nothing for Japada, return migration, basically, in English. For the idea of language, in terms of what he said, I want to respond to that. I think Africans should not shy away from expressing themselves in their local dialects, because some stories are culturally bound and rooted in tradition. So in the case of making it assimilated by the global public, we can have two versions of our texts. We can have it in Yoruba and have another one in English. Like Ngi Obasanjo did in his stories and novels. We can have that to accommodate that. Because each culture has its peculiarities and deep meanings that English itself can accommodate. And it has made our traditions and cultures and languages to be watered down when being translated in English. So we should revive that culture and that recommendation and framework by Ngugi wa Thiong'o to write in our local dialect and translate for the white man, not use his own language as a yardstick to tell our own stories. So we should be mentally decolonized and conscious of what belongs to us. I think it's a privilege to be here too, because I've been consciously coming to LSA this year to actually, let's say Japan now. I feel it's time for me to actually begin a career in lecturing overseas. So I feel happy to be with Professor Tijani here, since he has, like you said, he has the link to make that happen. So thank you very much for all you do for scholars. It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Thank you very much. Number 5. I have 5. I am number 5. So I have a wife at home. Please take the power after you.
My name is Dr. Ashiyabu from Fuye. Prof, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm very happy to meet you as a person, although I'm not an historian. So I'm international relations from the road to the first degree to the last. So I'm very happy to see you there. And having listened to the wonderful you perform so far. And I believe we still need more of you in the system. And at the same time, I want to remind you, sir, that you may not know that you have one daughter outside, but now. So I want you to confirm, sir. If you have one daughter here, that you need to adopt, to be part of or adopt, to be part of this project. Yes, be part of it. Thank you, sir. So after that, sir, I would like to direct my questions, some of them to Professor now, and at the same time to you, sir. You know, I joined one particular group downstairs for now, where it's more of a short migration and Japan, with the point of and different issues. And part of it, I'm not lying, I had one for the first time. And I want to ask if there's any possible solution on it, because maybe it's due to time and some other things. The presenters were unable to provide solutions to that particular problem. And the problem is also part of the pull and push factor of the issue of Japa and Japada, where people say something about value that maybe the permanent solution should be that Africa should go back to belief. That's part of the solution suggested. It was suggested that maybe Africa should go back to belief. So there are lots of discussion around it, but we're unable to reach a particular point. Whether we should agree whether we should go back to belief or we should continue, because some people said belief was even the source of our problem. And why should we go back to the source of our problem again? So, sir, I know you will do justice to that. And secondly, on the issue of decolonization of knowledge, sir, I don't know how ready South Africa decolonize our knowledge. Because we know our structure, our curriculum, our everything are being tailored towards the side of education. And when we are discussing the colonization of knowledge, because I've attended several workshops on the issue of colonization of knowledge, it's somehow amazing me that we want to decolonize our knowledge. But the European world, Western world, we still the ones sponsoring the colonization of African knowledge. So the question I ask myself is, are we decolonizing or recolonizing? Because if we want to decolonize our knowledge, and African leaders are not the leading actor in decolonizing our knowledge. It's still this European world sponsoring the decolonization of knowledge. Then how true are we, how realistic are we?
Recording in progress. There's the Greenwich time signal, right? We'll start the meeting then. Welcome to those of you that are here. There's Peter.
He was talking about pull and push factor as one of the theories used, and also part of what we discussed downstairs. If you want to be sincere, sir, pull and push factors have been developed on the issue of migration. To the extent that we find it difficult to differentiate between migration, irregular migration, unstructured migration, and human trafficking. Because not all this Japa we're talking about know much about what they are going to do there. Some based on misconception that no, everything is all great or roses. When we get there, you can do this, you can do that. Even some lecturers also were also disguised to go abroad and study. And at the end of the day, they were unable to continue with their studies, just like what you said, sir. And there's no way they can come back because the orientation and everything, or maybe, I don't know, if they will feel uncomfortable coming back. So as a result, they need to stick to their problem and face their challenges. So when we're talking about pull and push, and we're talking about migration and Japada. So in what context are we using this pull and push? Because the issue of migration Japa is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a common phenomenon, it's like a common currency spending everywhere. Now, when you're talking about push, one of the pushing factors is poverty, unemployment, insecurity, and the rest. So, in what context are we conceptualizing our poverty? Why? Because poverty is not something that's peculiar to a particular place, a particular country, or a particular ethnic group. So poverty is like a common phenomenon. Okay, poverty is a common phenomenon. And it's not limiting. It's not something you can introduce to your friend. That okay, you are this yesterday, let me introduce poverty into your life. So in what context now we define this poverty that remain individual. So finally, sir, I think, sir, we try as much as we can to do justice to our curriculum in Africa, because the system has already written off history from African, from Nigerian education. Please, try as much as can. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity to have one or two things to say on this panel. Let me start by this. I want to also contribute to also make addition to what my friend said about his submission. I think somebody can write in African language. We can write in Yoruba. Shino Ashebe wrote concubine, the concubine. And that though it was written in language, Elisha wrote the concubine. I'm sorry. And it was actually it was written in English, and it was translated to several languages across the world. Some of Shinashibe's work also were also translated to several German language, and it was read across. So if we write in Yoruba language, and that substance is there, it's bound to be translated in that language. That is just by the way. The second thing I want to say is about the approach and the concept of Jakpa, Jalo, and Japada. I think conceptually, I think we are missing it. My own perception, sir. We are missing it. I think Japa is negative when you look at it in Yoruba language deeply. When you Japa, it means maybe something like you are pressurized to do it. You have to do it because of some certain circumstances that are unpalatable. So if you are looking at Japa from that instance, I think we should have another language to talk about those who moved out of the country, who migrated as a sort of searching for golden fields. Some people, that is my concept of it anyway. That's my problem with the concept. Then about the approach, I think we are looking at it at a narrow perception. We are limiting it to the academic setting alone. I think if we expand it to the larger society, looking at those who do not even have anything to do with academic search, and they were living the country, we will have a broader perception about Jakpa, Jalo, and Japada. Thank you. That is in that regard. Thirdly, I want to thank Prof. He's a grandfather. I am a product of LASU. I finished in LASU, and those who taught me were those who he also taught, and they have said a lot of things about it. And we'll be meeting. And that is not skill. That is not it. Yeah, that is not all about it. He did something for me that is very, very important. I said, I must come to this panel to say one or two things about him. It was in LSA year, I think 2018 or 2019. Then I was running my PhD, and I ran into him. He was with Professor Oyeweso. And Professor Oyeweso introduced me to him. At that point, my PhD was at the peak, and I was looking in my supervisor's page that my work is with you. You have to return it. And me and Prof, we sat at where we eat MTN circle. And he was asking me, how far with your PhD? I said, this is where I am. This is the level I am. What about it? I think my professor is a good man, Professor Galinosa. So he was a fantastic man in his own character. But I told him, I said, okay, let me just call him. And he called him at my presence that he said, just go and call him later. You see that you will move. When I called Prof, maybe 2 days later, I said, Farouk, oh yeah, come to Ilorin. And before you know it, we started having progress. So thank you for that intervention. Thank you for that intervention. So that's the younger one. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes, comments. I have a comment. Yes, comments. In Yoruba, we say it is not only one's biological father that is one can refer to as a father. I met him for the first time at LSA conference in 2019. And I don't know who he is, but we just woke up in our Yabatek guest house in the morning. And he said, the man from Olabisi Onabanjo. I said, good morning, sir. Okay. He said, you work at Olabisi? I said, yes, sir. When you see Ganiyu, greet him for me. Something rang in my brain. I said, okay. As if he knew. He said, if you need something legally, and they were denying you, don't waste time to let me know. My tech fund was hanging. All others that it was approved together was given. Mine didn't come until my last semester, my 6th semester on my PhD, when I put a call through him. He said, okay, don't worry. And he crossed finger with the vice chancellor. And that was how my money was released. I'm also not saying, pam, 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 pam. So I appreciate you, and I'm not disappointed to see people here because there is a father that is a father in him. So that mentoring is very, very noticed in all your presentation. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Before we take responses to some of those questions that were raised, I'm not surprised that we're having other people also coming up to say these flowery things about him. That's his message. Don't just meet him. Once you meet him, you have an interaction with him, you can be sure that if there's a need to intervene in any issue, that's in English. So I'm not surprised that that is happening. So thank you all for also collaborating and supporting what we have said. This panel the thought came up when we were in Abuja, we went for a conference and I was with him. And I was with Professor Jonas. Wait a minute, NSA is on now. And I put a call to Professor Adenito and I said, Prof, sir, I know we are late. I don't know whether you can accommodate us. He said, what is it? I said, we want to have a roundtable in honor of Professor Tijani. He said, Professor Tijani, even if it's a day to the event, I will grant you that honor. And that was how we were able to work. Thank you, sir. We pray that God will continue to be with you. Yes, Dr. Lawrence, how many more minutes do we have? Okay.
Okay, you should have time for the online people.
Yeah, Mojuba.
Yes, Mojuba Olu is here.
Hello.
You are calling all the men professor, and then I'm Mojuba Olu, Abi.
Professor Mojuba Olu, my apologies. I'm just reading the name from the screen, and I didn't see your title written in front of you. Apologies for that.
I thought I was famous. Okay. Thank you for having this panel. Because it's early in New York, I was not with you for the entire panel. I think this is the title of the panel in honor of Professor Tijani is very timely because everybody, even journalists and little children, are talking about Japada and Japada and now Jalo. One thing I want to really quickly say is that a lot of times, even those who say we should decolonize things, we use the concepts of the colonizer. Our language is our language. It is not a dialect. Okay, so Yoruba is a language, and then Ijebu, my father's thing, is a dialect. Oyo, my mother's, is a dialect. So please stop using dialect interchangeably with language. Also, I think that conceptualization allows for the use of terms that are germane to the population and the scholars who are doing the inquiry, the explication, the theory building. You see when you'll see that when it's Europeans, all the German scholars and all their mostly unpronounceable terms, we use Gesellschaft, German Shaft, and all this kind of stuff. So there's nothing new about people using concepts and words that are germane to their own experience. But because of colonization, we kind of have this ambivalence about using our own terminologies. Plus, there's a lot of looseness in the definitions that we give. But, and then the whole push and pull thing, and then legal versus illegal migration. Look, nobody wants to leave a place where they're totally comfortable and leave it in a hurry. The economic situation, the lack of upward mobility, and also the political situation, and sometimes social constraints make it inevitable for people to leave. But there's no heaven on earth. When you get to the place of migration that you have jackpot to, you face the realities of that place as well. And then people build institutions
and communities that help them to mediate the terrors and the harshness of migration. We are not actually, as Nigerians, very good at doing this yet because a lot of our people get lost in the cracks because we also valorize the aspect of our migration that is elite, that is very well educated, and that goes into the professions. There are many of us here. I'm talking from New York. There are many of us in diaspora who suffer, who are living, precarious lives. And, sometimes I think those people might even have reason to lament, even undertaking the migration they do. And then because we tend to criminalize the irregulars and say that they're doing something wrong, and all they're trying to do is escape from what is tormenting them back at home. We don't have institutions that help such people. We do not participate in the politics of migration in a robust way to advocate for our people. So, there's a lot we have to do. Excuse me, let me just finish. We have to do a lot. I think, for me, having been studying this since 2000, since 1995, documentation, analysis, and explication, and then theory building are all necessities. Professor Tijani is participating in this process, and then everybody else, let's bring our work into more relevance by really looking at things from the decolonial perspective that we say we are interested in, because we're not doing it sufficiently yet. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Prof, for that contribution. We have very few minutes. Dr. Flores, you have 30 seconds to contribute.
Okay, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I do not have a question. I'm just joining the masses to celebrate this extraordinary leader, Professor Tijani. And I want to say he has been a great mentor to some of us who are not even in history, but by chance or by faith or by grace, we met with him, and then he has impacted us so much. I want to really say thank you to you for your leadership style and for your, contribution to our growth in the academy. And I wish you more of God's strength as you journey through. We do not want to wait until you are no more before we say thank you. We celebrate you. We appreciate all that you're doing. And then we know that we can still tap more into the resources and the strength and the grace that you bring with you into the academia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Flores, for that presentation. Yes, Prof. Unfortunately, Prof will not be with us on Friday. He has to get back very soon. So we are privileged to be here and to have him with us today. Our session will continue, but before he goes, we'd like to hear a few things from you. Prof.
Thank you very much. Thank you most sincerely. And it came to me as a surprise, but all that you've been saying is, I think, is a divine intervention. I would also like to thank Professor Peter Okebukola as a pioneering student at LASU, and Professor Okebukola as one of the pioneering teachers at LASU, was mentoring us without even him knowing, because the old concept of mentoring or mentorship was not pronounced. There are two people in that 1984 on campus that we mostly look towards. One, Professor Olumide, the Vice Chancellor. Two, Professor Okebukola. And what is distinct about them is the fact that they wear suit, not coat. What did I say? Suit. Not coat. There's a difference between that. Okay, suit and coat. When you wear a suit, You know it. Maybe Vendam Boutique at Yaba, online from London, from Paris. Then they also were embodiment of knowledge. Okay. And I followed him, and whatever you saying about me was modeled by him, by Professor Lumide, and also late Professor Ogunremi, who was not wearing, unfortunately, a suit, but coat, but also a great mentor. So I want to thank them, as I thank all of you. I want to quickly answer my sister's question. And before I do, you see this room, it is a divine intervention. Because when I saw the program and they said room 311, I said room 311. So when I arrived yesterday, of course, there was no power supply. And they said it's 311. Somebody was trying to tell me, one of the lecturers said, but you can't tell me about 311. It's right there across from the department. Said, I was here. I took all my seminar classes in 1989 for my master's in that room. I'm going to go in to see what has changed. Nothing has really changed since 1989 because I keep on looking at all these things. I was here for a year. I did not continue with seminar because I made a PhD grade. Our time was 4.0 CGPA. I made a 3.50. So some of my classmates continue because they have to do MPhil. But the thing is that whether you do MPhil or you go straight to PhD, does not mean you will finish first. The weakest link in our class got PhD before all of us. 1994. And on that staircase, I came from last year. Professor Oshito Kun, who was my supervisor, had become ambassador to, Germany. And the Professor Agiri of late memory was telling me, Hakeem, what is wrong with you? Continue with your urbanization and change with late Dr. Linamba, the only white lady in the faculty. And I said, no. I want to continue with my anti-communism and the transfer of power. He said, do you know when Jide, they go by first name? I said, sir, I don't know when it's coming back, but I'm waiting. Okay? Where you see Dr. Adenrito using as a secretariat now, and of course, Professor Olukoju's office, was actually Professor Ninamba, a white Australian that came here, got a PhD in 1982 at Ibadan. That is the office. And of course, Olukoju's office was the first office when you get to third floor. The first office on your left is where Olukoju used to be. So I was telling them all of that. Decolonizing knowledge. I think it was also before we started this officially that I was in another panel here. And the young lady that was presenting did very well. And I told them she is indeed, she has done well. One of the former lecturers, I think the gentleman just stepped out, challenged her, you did not mention my name. But unfortunately for him, another professor who had listened said, oh, she did mention your name. So after that, I raised my hand and I started telling them. I said, well, the young lady has fallen into the Okebukola paradigm. And what is that? Decolonizing knowledge. You cannot speak or present a paper where Professor Okebukola, our great mentor, a distinguished professor, emeritus professor, okay? You present the paper and you start saying, according to Sanderson, Anderson, Amartin. Prof is listening, and if I'm lying, you can allow him to, he will just tell you, stop, my friend. So all these people you are quoting, they won't quote you. Are you telling me that there is no Okuta that has written about this? Are you saying there is no Abiola that has written? Go and do your research. First of all, decolonize your own knowledge before you start talking. So because your references matters. And that is where we're starting from. We should start from. What Professor Mojuba Ola Okome said is also germane. So when you talk about decolonizing knowledge, to answer part of our question, I quickly, write down here, I said, remember Professor Kebukola, remember the transition from BMAS. How many of you know BMAS? To CCMAS. That is part of it. And it took a lot of resources, time. That is the man behind it. And it continued. And I also put down here, remember the consistency and sustenance of module, the art and science of teaching that began way back when I and some of our classmates and those of us that venture into teaching met him. The pedagogy. How do I teach? How do I allow learning to occur at the end of the semester? How do I embrace the fact that it has to be participatory? That my students should be able to say something. How do I say, despite the fact that I'm on this aisle as a teacher, and those seated know something? How do you decolonize yourself that you do not know it all? And the time you start saying that you know it all, you are what? Say it loud. Master of no, you are being kind with use of sentence. I'll say you are stupid. You can quote me, quote unquote, Tijani 2025. Thank you very much. So we really have to do a lot. It's continuum. The Berlin issue, I put it there, I say, go back where? So Berlin. We were never part of Berlin. So those who invoke that, perhaps they lack depth in terms of the knowledge and the history of Berlin, where the African cave was shared, okay? Where it was, So we don't have to go to Berlin, Germany, to resolve our issues. If that person has said, go back to Lagos with ECOWAS, or go to Addis Ababa with OAU, we don't even have to go to New York. Don't cross the Atlantic. We can resolve some of the issues. But are we going to resolve it in our lifetime? No. Let me also say that the idea, and I have listened to the varieties of Japada, Jalo. In fact, as part of my teaching of African diaspora at Morgan State University in 2006, when I joined, I developed the concept Japada, Jalo. Most people don't know Jalo. They don't even recognize with Japada. They were just talking about Japa. Of course, I have presented and I've given workshops that migration itself should not be seen as evil. There's nothing wrong with migration. So between 2006, when that was developed, by 2010, I also developed what I call the biographical pedagogical discourse, which is a concept of you understanding and studying the Okebukola of this world, the Okome of this world, the Aderito of this world, anybody for you to survive and to see what they have contributed and how you can even go beyond them. You see, Saeed, that is Professor Aderito, has accomplished what nobody in our profession history has accomplished. And that is the way it's supposed to be. Okay? He has won a prize, not a grant. I won't mention the amount. You should know by now. We started this together. They started in 16 in New York with Bosse Day and the rest of them. And then they came down 2017. And when he called some of us to join us, I said, okay, Said, why Lagos? You are an Ibadan boy. What is Lagos? I explained it because that was the genesis. So if you pick migration, you pick biographical pedagogical discourse, and then you look at the varieties of migration without even identifying the causes, okay, this push-pull, you'll be able to fill in the blank. And I think that is what scholarship is about, continuation. We must add our own value, okay? Lastly, because I can speak to tomorrow, I think when I was called upon in between 2011 and 2020, I was fully in Nigeria. God asked me, this was a vision. Okay? Most people don't believe it. Vision to return. And when I returned in that 2011, first to return to my alma mater last week as a visiting professor for summer. And the person that called me to return, I said, Edmond, I'm taking my students to Dakar and then we're going to South Africa. That's a lot of money. I have to recruit in addition to my Gusa. He said, TJ, forget it. We are coming. These people, they are not finishing their PhDs. They don't have access. And I gave you a thesis to review. And from page 1 to the end of the 200 and something, you put red pen, and then you are also directing your writing. And then directing to archival materials. And you say, well, if you remember, sir, my first paper was literally written by Professor Oyeweso right there at last week. My office, I was sharing office with late Abubakar Momo on the 3rd floor, okay, L&H. And I said, we have to publish. They said to move from one point to the other, you need 2 papers, publish or I beg to apply. What is I beg to apply? You just go and get acceptance, whatever, which most people don't even, they just use it. Long story short, Professor Iweso literally just write it all over. But when he gave it to me, I went to my office. I opened the first page, red pen. Second page, red. Third, and he has a very beautiful handwriting. All the way to the last distance, I said, red pen. I didn't even bother. I just put it. I said, I don't think I want to stay. It's better I start looking for another job if this is the way they do it. A week after, he saw me and said, TJ, how far? I said, well, what's I said, black people. I said, in fact, I can't read it. I have your red pen and red. He said, my friend, go back, go and sit down. So I went back to my office. I said, oh, he has changed my language, my English, my everything. He retooled, he trained me how to do editing. He was not killing me as a young scholar. This was 1989. He was modeling, and today I'm so grateful. Those are people that actually brought me to where I am. So on that note, in 2011, I said, I have no choice. Forget about the 7,000 additional, that I will make just for 2-3 weeks, taking those students on study abroad. And that is part of what we are missing in Nigeria. Ghana is investing so much, but that will be for another day. That is also part of the Japada, okay? And how we can turn the education sector into what? An alternative revenue generating. Each of the institutions, each of the departments, but we are not. Sadly, some of us are interested in, thank God they ban all this, this thing you give out. Madness. Madness. Nobody can say last week that TJ as a young scholar will be under for where. What's the meaning of that? Okay. So when you put down your knowledge, I bought my first car in 1990. 1990 Toyota Corolla. I don't know how to drive. I have no clue how to drive. Guess what? I solved more than 30 years chieftaincy title issue, ownership, between the Kotun, the Godville, all those areas. God used me for them to become second class chieftaincy in Lagos State. They have no document. And they reached out to me. I said, is that all you need? So not to chicken myself, I called my former classmate in Amsterdam. I said, please, the Toyota Corolla, how much is it? You buy, you clear, you bring to my house. I don't know how to drive. He gave me the amount. I went back to them. I multiplied by 3. And they said, is that all you need? I said, yes, sir. I said, no problem. Can we pay? I said, no, don't pay me now. So let me bring the document. So I went back to Ibadan Archives. I said to them, I got this stamp. I said, this file must not miss. So this is why I'm giving you this. I went back. And I finished, this is what we've been looking for. You, this lawyer. And they paid me and they wanted to give me a land. I said, no, I don't have the money to do anything. The salary was 1,000 something naira. For good money. Good money. Good money. I still have my pay slip I can share with you. Last week, you see there with my staff. So what I'm saying is that you are all right about contextualizing and contextualizing Japa or Japada in particular. It is both. You can look at it from the academic angle and academic people like us. You can look at it from those that I call without brain, that will just wake up one day and say they want to do transatlantic slave trade or the Sahara slave trade without understanding where they are going. Then you can also be here and say, oh, I've completed my postdoc or my PhD. I'm not coming back without preparation. But I'll leave you with this. 3 mantras for leadership or success. Number 1, preparation. Number 2, preparation. And then of course, number 3 is what? You can never over prepare. When you do that, whether you are teaching, whether you are researching, whether you are going up for promotion, as we did in LASO in 1992, going to become lecturer 2. I had 5 papers already in print, and I've never paid anybody to publish. I understand the situation. I left that when we started. In fact, when we started the journal at Adeleke, it took me time. When we started the journal at the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies at the National Open University of Nigeria, it took me time. And I said, you will never pay. I should be paying you as a publisher because it's your intellectual property. And that is where, if I give and I distribute, it's about the royalties. Maybe as a Dr. Shuale, bagang, or as a Pastor Femi Emmanuel will say, raise up your phone to receive alert, credit alert, not debit. And then you'll be hearing bagang. But if you are a Muslim, pay your zakat. If you are a Christian, pay your tithes. You cannot be looking for credit without. And your tithe is not just in money. It's in being kind to humanity. Being kind. What he said, I've forgotten about it. But when he said we start, at that way, we're eating. And I'm the kind of person that if I see you, I want to get to know you. And I want to assist. You know why? When you grow up as an orphan, either partial, in 1971, I lost my father. 71 as a primary school cathedral, primary school in Lagos Island. The cathedral was a safe heaven for me. Yakubu Gowon was the head of state. So on Sundays, as a cathedral boy, you have to go clean up. I'm rounding off, I'm sorry. And as we clean up, instead of me worshiping Ogun in our Kakawa compound and drinking Siman Shinab, guess what I was eating? Guess. Huh? No, Holy Communion. Okay. No, not even Holy Communion. What else? Night juice, biscuits, From Kingsway, from 11, maybe you don't know Kingsway, 11, yeah, so you know, you heard about Kingsway. No, you read about it. So that is the humble beginning. Okay. So continue to do good. And I think we have to yield the floor to Professor Okebukola. I thank you most sincerely, sir, for your mentoring, for your love, and for even being here.
Unless I've missed anything, Chair.
Well, we're also looking for small donations. We reckon it's about £500 a year to pay for things like websites.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I'm very much here, and I just commented on your first thing is preparation, second thing is preparation, third is preparation. So we all got to be prepared. I like to again thank all the presenters that featured in this event, which is to honor our one and only Professor Hakeem Tijani. You can hear the testimonies from. Are you able to hear me? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
We are hearing.
Loud and clear.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, the testimonies of those that are benefited. But I tell you, this is a drop in the ocean compared with the thousands that Professor Tijani had touched their lives. I said that about 2 months, actually in March, I was with him. He hosted me. I was in his area for a conference. He had to come pick me in Baltimore and take me very far to where I was at the hotel I was staying. That's it. That's this man. We should continue to celebrate him, continue to celebrate Professor Hakeem Tijani. And I know one fine day he will be, although we don't have, okay, no, I'm going to be a minister of the Federal Republic. I wish somebody will make a note of that, because when it happens, we're going to continue to celebrate him. Thank you all, and looking forward to tomorrow, where we'll continue this symposium for honoring Professor Hakeem Tijani.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you.
Several of the training we have had. Now, in different modules, I think I only started at module 10.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank everyone. We might not be able to answer all of those questions. Prof has tried to at least give perspectives in several objects.
Yes.
We'll be recovering again on Friday, I guess.
So sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, sir. Yeah, I said to buttress what Professor Okebukola has said. Sometimes in January too, the committee of provosts went to Morgan State University and we met Professor Hakeem Tijani there. In fact, he hosted every one of us. He hosted us being Nigeria, and in fact, we're so happy. And we thank you. And in fact, I don't know if everyone there, including my professor, Professor Okebukola, if you can just help us to appreciate him more again for what he's doing over there. Because he never see you as a commoner or whatever, He accommodates you, he treats you, like a chief. So we're very, very, very happy. Every one of us, we say thank you, sir. We appreciate you, sir. And sir, Professor Hakeem, he's just doing, in fact, he has taken that from you. That's just the fact, sir. Yes. Yes, I am saying that, and I can say that again and again. Yes.
Thank you.
So we thank you too, sir. Thank you for making him what he is. And I want to thank you
God
for
that has
making
made
us
us
what we are today.
Thank God.
Thank you very much.
Thank God. Thank God, Professor Kosoko Oyedeko Gania.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have it. Yes, now we get that phone that we'll see you guys. In fact, you showed me the rules when it was hosting you when I was there in December. All right, so please let's have 2 pictures before we start. Can you stop this?
Almighty God will honor you. Did you write down his name? Was it part of
Amen.
Did you write down your name?
Did you write down? What did you start? Did you write down?
No, you don't. This man was the chair of head of department. Pardon me, when I say chair, I'm wearing the American cap. They call them chair, but it's not the chair. The Institute of History and International Studies. Okay. That gentleman also served as HOD, unless it's the chair.